Hey, happy day 680 of What's She Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, also known as Pajama Grandma, in one of my favorite robes. Love my Mickey robe. And I'm thinking about biting. Biting off more than we can chew. Have you ever bitten off more than you can chew? Have you ever overextended yourself, volunteered for way more, or signed up for or been assigned projects? Some of us had corporate jobs where we were assigned so much, it was like, really? It was unbelievable. Some of the tasks and jobs we'd be assigned by our bosses, thinking that we could get it all done. And some of us, we could get it all done, but it was like an impossible amount of work. Other times we have, as moms and wives and grandmas, extended ourselves or volunteered for or taken responsibility for or taken on way too many projects. It's kind of a dichotomy. We are capable of so much more than we think we are. We're definitely capable of so much more than other people think we are. But sometimes we, out of a sense of responsibility or thinking that nobody else is going to do it or nobody's going to do it as well as we can, we will take on and do things that are just, over the top sometimes. So I'm thinking about saying yes to things and biting off what is a priority for us, taking responsibility and committing to what's a priority for us, what's important, but not taking on things that are just out of a sense of obligation, or we think that we have to do it because no one else is going to. I think of, activities and things with our kids. A lot of times we will volunteer to be coaches. We'll volunteer to head committees for their schools and for their the sports and the events that they're involved in, the activities that they love to do. We'll be troop leaders. We'll be chaperones. We'll do all kinds of things. And it's important that we do that. But sometimes I would find myself in the past just saying yes because nobody else was doing it. Nobody else would volunteer. Remember, in corporate America, I would be sitting at a department head meeting. We had meetings every week, and a project would be brought up by our boss. And, I was the only woman, and everybody would, he'd talk about a project. Nobody would volunteer to spearhead it. And so I found myself volunteering a lot of times and taking on way more projects than I probably should have. Always got them done, always could, but more than I should have, more than I really needed to think that it was my responsibility to do them, because it really wasn't. But we're the only one that can decide that. We're the only one that can decide what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. We're the only one that can commit to or choose not to open our mouths and commit, right? We get to decide how big a bite we're going to take. But sometimes you get that big bite in your mouth and you got one of two options. You're either going to choke on it because you can't chew it and you're going to die, or you can spit it out, meaning you can not take that big a bite and then learn to not take that big a bite next time. But sometimes when we're younger, here we go again. Another call in the middle of my videos today. That is what happens when Pajama Grandma sleeps in. When I sleep in, I get too many calls and too many interruptions during my videos. It's part of the reason that I get up early and I do them. That, and so I can hang out with my 4-year-old granddaughter every day for a few hours. What was I talking about? Biting off more than you can chew. So what experience do you have with this? Overcommitting yourself, biting off more than you can chew, taking on more than, other people do, or that is humanly possible. I think a lot of us get accused of biting off more than we can chew because other people only see parts of what we do. They don't see the whole big picture. And again, we as human beings are capable of so much more than we think we are, than what we think that we can do. So biting, think about biting today. Today was day 74 of the BP challenge, the blood pressure challenge. And I got to check my blood pressure. I haven't checked it for a while. I still have not found my blood pressure cuff, so I'm not doing a very good job measuring my results. I'm doing the actions and the activities to reduce my blood pressure every day, but I'm not measuring to see if things are 100% effective or not. I feel better, so that's good, right? I feel better. That's the most important thing. Today we were talking about the spiritual key, and there's 7 different key aspects of our areas that we really need to pay at least a little bit of attention to, or they will rear their ugly head and they will impact us in a way that causes us to pay attention to them. My best example of that in my life has been, for decades, I didn't pay attention to my physical body, my physical well-being, and my health. Through my 30s and 40s, I was terrible. I put myself last. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't exercise. I didn't eat right. I drank a ton of coffee and a ton of Diet Pop. And I had an incredible amount of stress piling and piling and piling on my life. And that led to a sudden cardiac arrest because I didn't pay any attention to my physical well-being. And since I didn't, it made sure that I paid attention to it. And at that point in my life, everything changed. Everything had to change, or I wouldn't be here talking to you today. If I didn't pay attention to that, if I didn't figure out what was going on, if I didn't make massive changes in my life, I would have been dead 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But I chose to hang out a little while longer and see what I could do on this planet. And I'm glad I did. I don't know if everybody else is, but I'm glad I did. So my point is, if you don't pay attention to these 7 aspects or areas of your life, they will give you signals to pay attention to them. So what are the 7 areas? Of course, our physical well-being, our physical body, our physical existence, our health. Nothing will shut you down faster than your health. I mean, if you're dead, it doesn't matter, right? But we have to pay attention to our health so that we don't get to the point where we have diseases and problems and challenges. Our emotional state, our feelings, our thinking, our thoughts, our mindset, our contribution, what we're here to do in the world, what we want, how we want to impact other people and the world around us, our financial aspects of our life, our relationships, and I forgot one, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual is the other one. So today was all about spiritual. And to me, spirituality is different for each and every one of us, just like all of these things are different for each and every one of us. But how we define spirituality, is it religion for you? Is it connection to a higher power or source energy or your inner being? Whatever it is for you, the best way I've found to tap into that or to understand that or to explore that and to continually improve in that area is to meditate. A lot of people would call that prayer. So prayer or meditation, and just we pray and we meditate to focus our energy, to focus and tap into and get more clarity. And we do that through quieting our mind, because our minds are always going a million miles an hour, right? Or a million miles a minute. So we need to have some way to just stop all the noise, all the craziness around us, and just breathe. To me, meditation, my favorite form of meditation is just simply sitting in a quiet place or laying on my bed and just breathing and focusing on my breath. And sometimes I'll ask myself a question. If I'm struggling with something, or if I have a challenge, or if I'm wondering about something, I'll ask myself a question and I'll just breathe and just put that away, let it go, leave it in the back of my mind, and then just breathe. And that is my favorite way to tap into my higher power. So that was the BP challenge today. Biting off more than you can chew was supersize your business. And what else? That's it. I'm working on a webinar for myself. I'm working on 2 webinars with different groups of people. Also, I actually applied to be on Steve Larson's One Funnel Away Stories show. So we'll see if I get interviewed for that or not. Don't know, maybe. Love Steve Larson. I've been focusing on my own things and not paying attention to what he and other people are doing. It's one of my improvement areas for this life and this year is, no, don't compare yourself to others. Don't be so concerned about what other people are doing, and just do your own thing. Part of why it's been a challenge for me to pick my own thing is because I was inundated, like so many of us, with there's so many possibilities. There are infinite possibilities of what we can do and how we can show up and how we can impact the world. And sometimes we get lost in that because we're so busy, especially with social media these days. It's so easy to hop on Facebook, hop on LinkedIn, hop on Instagram, hop on any other platform that you happen to like, YouTube, and start watching other people's things and then thinking and comparing ourselves to that person and saying, oh my God, they're so awesome, I could never do this. And that's the biggest mistake we ever make, because we're here to impact the people that we're here to impact. They're here to impact who they're to impact. And maybe part of who they're here to impact is us, by setting the example that, oh, if they can do it, well, what the heck? I can have an impact. I can be an influencer. I can do for people, the people that I'm here to impact and have an influence on or contribute to, I can contribute to them. If Steve Larson can contribute to his audience, then I can contribute to my audience. That's the way we should look at other people. We should admire what they're doing and find out and model what works for them and test it out and see if it works for us. Steve Larson's an awesome stage presenter. I don't ever even want to be a stage presenter. I don't ever want to go stand up on anybody's stage and present anything. Will I participate in summits and interviews and live summits or online summits and things? Absolutely. Do I want to go up and do TED Talks and talk on stages and things? Yeah, no. I'm old. I'm in my pajamas. I like to be in my pajamas. So I won't do those things. But I do love so many of the other things he teaches us. And there's a secret. You can learn, and you should learn, something from absolutely everyone that you ever come in contact with. I don't think people cross our paths just randomly. I think that we are in certain places at a certain time for opportunities to find us, for opportunities for us to experience different things. And maybe I'm goofy and that's not true. Maybe you don't believe that. Maybe you just think that life is all a bunch of random acts that we happen to be in the path of. But I believe that all of the randomness actually has some kind of a meaning for us. And it's up to us to learn and figure out, well, what does that mean? Why did I meet that particular person? Why was I at this place at this time? And we won't always know, but sometimes down the road we'll be like, oh my God, I met that person. I met Heather. I was thinking about this today because it was our Facebook 11-year anniversary. I met Heather Ann Havenwood, the sexy boss, 11 years ago online. We've been friends on Facebook for 11 years. It wasn't until this past year, and actually in 2018, that we really started connecting and talking to one another. And then we did the 90-day YouTube challenge together this year. And we'd known each other for 10 years. So it's all about relationships. I don't remember even why and how we connected back then, but we just, off and on over the decade. And then we finally did a project together. That's the way it works. That's the way our life works. If I would have asked myself, well, why are Heather and I connected back then? I would have had no understanding. But now, asking myself the question today, I totally see why, because we were meant to do something together in 2018, 2019. That's it. That's the way it works. At least that's what I believe. So that's what I'm working on. I'm getting ready for the holidays, getting ready for all kinds of things. Working on these projects, got to nail and get some of these done. And just, enjoying my time and my experiences with my friends and my family. And I hope you're doing the same. Also, sporting my new haircut. My 4-year-old granddaughter picked this haircut out for me. She also wanted me to dye my hair gray like the lady in the picture, but I said, I will get the haircut. I will be brave enough to get the haircut, but I am not dyeing all of my hair gray. I will earn my gray hairs, and as my hair turns gray, and I'm like, hey, if I could have that color gray, I might do it. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold off, and I got enough wrinkles to show how old I am. I don't need a whole bunch of a head of gray hair to do that as well. So I did agree to get the haircut, but I did not agree to do the gray hair. So I'll wait till my gray hair comes in. That's it. If you've got anything for me, if you've got a question about anything, if you're struggling and you're like, I just don't know who to ask, I don't know what to do next, hit me up in the comments below. I might not know the answer, but I will know somebody who knows the answer, and I will set you in the right direction. I know that there's been so many times as I've gone, throughout my physical career, my corporate career, and especially online, there's been so many times I'd be struggling with something. I'd be sitting and thinking and wondering, oh my God, if I could just ask somebody this one question. And I wouldn't do it. I'd put it off and put it off and put it off. And then finally, I would ask the question. I would go in to a group that I belong to because there's a bunch of experts in there. And I would ask the question. And as soon as I asked the question, I would have the answer. Even before anyone could answer, the answer would come to me. But the lesson there is that I needed to be willing to ask. We need to be willing to ask the question, ask for help, and watch and see how fast the answers come to us. Because guess what? Anything we're struggling with, anything we have a question about in the entire world, somebody else can help us with that. Somebody else has probably already successfully navigated through, or had that exact same question as you. There's 8 billion people on the planet. What is the probability that you are the only person of the 8 billion people that has ever experienced or gone through or had that question? I would say slim to none. The probability of you winning $1 billion lotto is probably higher than the probability of that being true. So that's it. Have an awesome day. If I can help in any way, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. Bye.